almost at the weekend. We're almost there, guys. So today we're continuing our theme of gymnastics focus Thursdays, continuing that focus on handstand push-ups just because those are extremely accessible without any equipment or anything like that. So today we're going to be starting first 5 minutes for tolerance, going through this. Total of 5 rounds over the course of 5 minutes, no rest built in there. 12 seconds of pike handstand push-ups, right into 48 seconds of a PVC strict press. So we're going to be going right from one into the other, doing some pushing strength here, focusing on our pushing as well as our position work, and we'll go over that with the pike handstand push-up. We talked about it last week, but a couple reminders in case if you missed that one. Right into our PVC strict press for 48 seconds. And again, that will be lasting a total of 5 minutes. So before I go into the demos here, I'll finish talking about the bottom part that we have. After that, we're going to be going into some midline fun. 5 rounds every 2:15, 10 windshield wipers, 10 tuck crunches, 20 seconds of a bird dog hold on the left side, and then 20 seconds of a bird dog hold on the right side. And again, we'll go over what all of this looks like. So a nice day focused on more so midline work. If you're feeling a little beat up from the week, especially Monday and Tuesday, a lot of hamstrings going on. Today, not too bad, more so upper body focus, but if you're feeling a little beat up, this is a good one to really be focusing on midline work and positioning work, which will translate over to our gymnastics. So starting first with these pike handstand push-ups. We talked about this last week, but I'll just reiterate it in case if you had missed this. The analogy that I used and like to use when it comes to gymnastics is if we only are doing, let's say, RX handstand push-ups or RX strict handstand push-ups or RX pull-ups all the time, I would say it's the equivalent of only working at 100% of your max for your Olympic lifts or for your power lifts. Now that probably sounds crazy, but it's a fair analogy. If you're always working at 100% of your body weight, it's really hard to focus on our technique and our positioning when we're operating at 100%. If we're going to be working on our cleans, for example, we don't load up 100% and say we're working on positioning. That's going for a max, little bit different stimulus or very different stimulus. The same thing with our gymnastics as well. So that's what these pike handstand push-ups are for. So even if you have handstand push-ups, I encourage you, pike handstand push-ups, continue with that as prescribed. We're going to be focusing on this tripod position, so going into our demo. For a handstand push-up, we always want to focus on our hands being the base of the triangle and our head will be the peak or the top of that triangle. We always want our head to be going past our hands or away from our hands when we're lowering ourselves down. That's true whether you're kicked up against a wall, doing a handstand push-up from a box, or doing a pike handstand push-up. For these pike handstand push-ups, I'm just going to demo it and talk about it a little bit more. Legs don't necessarily need to be straight. You can bend your knees, especially if you have tight hamstrings or if your hamstrings are bothering you after Tuesday's workout. Yep, Tuesday's workout. Knees bend is totally fine. Same with coming up onto your toes. Totally good with that. We want to have our hips high in the air. So this is how it's different than a regular push-up, for example. I want my hips to be high, and then my hands will be, let's say, a little bit away from my feet. Again, as long as my hips are nice and high. What I'm going to focus on when I lower my head down is my head going away from my hands and then pressing straight through at the top. One more time. Head's going away from my hands and then press through at the top. So what I want you to focus on that may have been hard to hear, talking and doing it at the same time, your head should be going away from your feet, away from your hands as you're lowering yourself down. I also want you to focus on tucking that chin under. What we don't want to happen is our head being extended out and kind of having our forehead hit the ground. We want the top of our head to be hitting the ground, just like if this was a handstand push-up. So lowering your head away from your hands, pressing through at the top just like you would with a barbell. If you're having a hard time with these pike handstand push-ups, modifications that we can do, we can elevate the target just like we were against the wall. So you can either grab a blanket, fold it up, a pillow is a good option, or a sweatshirt, you can fold that up as well in order to elevate your target for those pike handstand push-ups. But again, we really want to focus on getting into that tripod positions. Hands are the base, and my head is going away from my hands with that chin tucked under. I'll show that just one more time. We can get that from the side. Hips are up high, bending my knees if I need to, lowering my head away from my hands, and then press through at the top. I would encourage not doing that on a hardwood floor. After we go through 12 seconds of that, so we want to make sure that if we do need to elevate the target, that's okay, but we want to be continuously moving through those pike handstand push-ups, not necessarily fast, but able to continuously stay moving during that 12 seconds. If you're not able to do that, let's elevate the target a little bit. After that 12 seconds, we go right into 48 seconds of a PVC strict press. So I don't have a PVC pipe, but I do have a knockoff Swiffer. So either a Swiffer will work, a broom will work, anything that kind of looks like a PVC pipe and is nice and light. If you don't have, let's say, a broom or a Swiffer, sure, most of us do, but let's say if you don't, I would say grab two objects that are fairly light. So cans, for example, could be a good option. We can just go through strict press with those two light objects. Cans could be good. Coasters also could be good, just holding those and pressing those straight up. But if you do have a Swiffer, broom, PVC pipe, all we're going to be doing is a slow strict press. Head goes through at the top, lower that back down, and moving continuously through this for 48 seconds. I promise your shoulders will start to feel it. It doesn't look too bad, but I promise it will get a little spicy of 5 minutes, essentially 5 whole minutes of continuously pressing. And one will impact the other. Good on that. No questions? Stealing John's joke. All right, the next part that we have, 5 rounds every 2:15, 10 windshield wipers. So starting with these, just like we emphasize when we're in class, these are a slow and controlled movement. If your legs are just flopping back and forth and if it doesn't feel athletic, it probably isn't. All right, so windshield wipers, laying on the ground on our back. Hands go out wide. Legs, we want to try to keep them as straight as possible if we can. I'm going to slowly lower my legs down to one side, controlled all the way over. That's 1. Bring my legs back up. Control to the other side. That's 2. What I don't want to see is this. This is not doing anything. Even if you can't keep your legs totally straight, I still want this to be controlled to each side. A modification for this, if you need to, we can bend our knees. And again, same idea, controlling my knees over to one side and then controlling back over to the other. No legs flip-flopping all over. Next, we have our 10 tuck crunches. These we're familiar with. Just make sure we're hitting that hollow body position, arms and legs together. Hollow body position between each of those reps. Then lastly, our 20-second bird dog hold. So we're going to come onto all fours for this. We're going to have opposite hand, opposite leg extending out. We want to focus on making sure that we're keeping our pelvis tucked under. No arch in your back. So to get into that, we'll start first in a tabletop position. Tuck that pelvis under. We don't want to have an arch in our back like that. Tuck that pelvis under. We'll send our left hand out and right leg out, and we're going to hold here for 20 seconds. After 20 seconds, I'll come back to neutral, make sure that pelvis is tucked, and then right hand out and left leg out. And hold that there for 20 seconds. That's the plan. 5 rounds of that every 2:15. Yeah, that's what we got coming up on Thursday. I'll see everyone at 6 p.m. on Zoom.